So, Nintendo has a long, long history of delaying things and yanking people around and making you wait for stuff. Hence the name of this channel, Waiting for Nintendo.
That's what we're doing
And it
right
got us
now.
thinking. It got us thinking. Nintendo's had some pretty unbearable waits over the years. What
Brutal.
was the worst one ever, though? Like, what was the worst wait in Nintendo history?
Well, I have an answer.
Yeah?
Yeah, but did you want to go first?
Yeah, we said I was going to go first because mine's not that good. So I was doing some thinking, and I figured the obvious answer is Breath of the Wild, but that was too basic an example. I had to go back. I feel like the worst waits come from childhood, right?
Yeah.
So I got thinking, and I'm like, what was like a really bad wait? Oh, wait, I got it. So I was a subscriber of Nintendo Power, right? And the DS came out, but the only Pokemon game was some like dumb puzzle thing. It was, I think, Torose, and there was like one where Pokemon Dash where you roll the thing.
A puzzle game like Pokemon Puzzle League?
I don't know. No, it was called like Pokemon Torose. That was like those. These were the Pokemon offerings on the DS for the first like 2 years it was out. Okay, but Nintendo Power kept teasing the real Pokemon game. They're like, it's coming.
It's
Diamond
coming.
and Pearl. The
Strap
it's coming.
in, buckle up.
For like a year and a half, they were running articles every month about the new Pokemon game on DS coming out eventually. And I swear it took like, because a year and a half when you're a kid might as well be like 10 years.
Oh man.
Like,
Okay, well, you know what? I have to say something at this point in time.
yeah.
I didn't understand what a pre-order was when I was a child. And since this is not a game, let me just briefly illustrate a very painful
Yeah.
wait. I had a Lego magazine subscription, and the new series of Bionicles was coming out, Gen 2, the Toa Nuva. And you could pre-order 2 of them, and I did. And
Yes.
I didn't know what that meant.
Oh.
And so after a few weeks, I started to like get a little, like, what's going on here? And it got to the point where after a few months, I was tailing the UPS guy on my bike,
my
just
God.
seeing, he already passed my house, but maybe there's a chance. maybe. And the day that they did come, it was just, they were there, and I came home from school
yeah.
and they were there. Anyway, it was just so painful, and I just wanted to illustrate that I understand. So continue. Sorry.
And over that time, they kept just like putting out like filler Pokemon bullshit that nobody cares about. Like there was some dumb Wii game, and there was like, I don't even freaking know. The like Mystery Dungeon came out in that stretch, and it was like just they kept. It seemed like they were appeasing
filler.
us.
That's
Okay, well, at the time, like, I mean, Mystery Dungeon ended up being amazing.
I get what you
like
mean. I get what you
I
mean.
like it more than I like Diamond and Pearl. But like that wasn't what I was waiting for.
Yes, Diamond and
I was
Pearl.
waiting for Diamond and Pearl. I was not that was not the game that Nintendo was hyping up month after month after month after month.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon Diamond and fucking Pearl was. So, I mean, eventually the game came out, and when you're a kid, you can't get stuff as soon as it comes out. So, I'm just like begging my dad for it. And then one day, I'm in the car, and I'm like, my head is down, probably looking at my DS. And then he hits me in the head with it. He like throws it at me. And then I'm enraged for like a split second, and I'm like, "Whirr!" Oh, and then Pokemon Diamond is in front of me, and I'm like, oh, awesome. And then, yeah.
That's so
I
sweet.
got it. And
Now, did you get Diamond or Pearl?
I got Diamond. Later, I got Pearl. I got Pearl like a year later. So, I mean, you got to have both. I mean, even to
Yeah.
this day, I still get both.
And it's funny, though, because the DS ended up being possibly the best Pokemon system ever.
Yeah. I mean,
You got Soul Silver,
feeling-
Black and White 2.
yeah, those are the good ones. But the thing is that's kind of like when I discovered the R4 card. So I kind of just like downloaded those. I didn't get Heart Gold until probably like 2017. And I never owned a copy of a Black 1. I just always played that on R4. And I think Black 2 is a Christmas gift or something. That's the only reason I have that.
Yeah, my friends bought me a copy of Black and White 2 for Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great game.
Well, I didn't
Oh,
finish it.
you never finished it?
I didn't.
You know what? Okay. I have always wanted to play Black 2 on hard mode, but it is not possible because of the most bullshit unlock condition of all time.
What?
Do you care to hazard a guess?
I don't know.
Okay. In order to play hard mode on Pokemon Black 2, you need to own a copy of Pokemon White 2 and beat White 2 to get a special code to put into Black 2. You can't generate this code, and the cards need to be near each other because the cards themselves, you can't R4 this.
What?
The cards themselves have like an RFID chip that you need to like touch them in order for the code to work. So you need to physically have a completed White 2 copy just to unlock the hard mode in Black 2.
You know, I'm gonna
It's
be
the
honest.
only Pokemon game they've ever made a hard mode for, and I've always wanted to play it. But it's like I'm never gonna own White 2 because that game's like $150 now. So
Isn't that crazy? The price.
I know.
Yeah, you mentioned the reason I didn't finish it is because I had to sell it because I was poor. But
Oh,
and it still went for like $70 when I sold it, I think.
yeah.
But
Goddamn.
that's the coolest thing ever. What you just described.
That sucks so much. I can't
No.
even play it.
No, that's the best
and-
thing ever.
And in reverse, beating Black 2 and connecting it to White 2 unlocks easy mode in White 2. Why the
Easy
fuck
mode.
why the fuck would you want to play easy mode after beating like
After you-
who needs a Pokemon game to be easier first off?
Oh my God.
Especially since you already finished it.
That is so dumb. You
I
just
know!
contrasted, like the greatest thing I've ever heard with the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like after you've beaten the game, hey, do you want
Yeah.
to play through it on an easier setting? What? Is that like
you're gonna do this
for shiny hunting in some sort of universe?
The fact that they like locked it out with a fucking like RFID chip, because I even had the idea, well, just play through it on the R4 card and then you do it. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
'cause you
'cause it
need the
doesn't have
fucking
it.
chip. It's so fucking stupid.
That actual real life hard coded gatekeeping is what I find so appealing.
It's
Like you
so
can't
stupid.
cheese this one. You got to do it. Sorry, bud. Like I love that.
I almost feel like this would be a decent, like, the only way I could like actually do this is to make a video about it. I'm sure there already exists like 10 though, is the thing, because Pokemon gets covered to death.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And my Pokemon videos don't do well either. Like whenever I do Pokemon, it does like half the fucking
That's a
views
shame
I'll
because you're
do.
good at Pokemon. You whooped my ass in Stadium
Yeah,
2.
dude. I used to be a pretty decent competitive player. Every gen that comes out, I lose a little bit more of my skills because I don't keep up. But like Gen 6 and into Gen 7, I was really good. Well, what's your weight?
Okay, yeah. My weight is Zelda Wii U. Mm-hmm. You could say Breath of the Wild, but once it became Breath of the Wild, the weight was no longer that hard. If I'm to take you back in time, Zelda
Yeah.
Wii U was announced at E3 2014, and
Well, you'd back up even further. They had the tech demo, like when the Wii U was first
so
unveiled.
that's true. Well, yeah, we could go back to the Wii U's tech demo. That came out. It looked really cool. I wasn't crazy about Twilight Princess, so it didn't really do much for me. I also don't care about Zelda looking realistic and never have, so I wasn't like, finally, they're doing the Space World demo. They're giving me a serious Zelda. That was never me. I didn't care.
Okay.
And you also know I was late to the franchise. You know, like I became a fan in like 2010. And then right after that, I got Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time. And I went and I bought a copy of Wind Waker for the GameCube. And so like, I'm just swimming in it, right?
Hell yeah.
I'm soaking up all of the Zelda and enjoying it all and not really realizing that it's going to be a while maybe before I can play the next new game.
The Wii U is still the best Zelda system. You can play all of them on it. Well, all the ones up until Breath of the Wild.
That's true. Well, yeah. Well, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. And Echo
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
because you can
Wisdom.
still play Breath. Well, yeah, up through Breath of the Wild. Anything after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with with Link's Awakening, Tears of the Kingdom, and Echoes of Wisdom, now there's probably one more game you could play on the Switch, right?
You're really missing out, though, with those three. I guess you are.
Yeah, that's a good point. The thing is, though, like when that game was announced, it shook my core.
Yeah.
I looked at, and it's also a tragedy because Breath of the Wild is not Zelda Wii U. It's that scene and everything they said. Aonuma clarified in multiple interviews that's real. You can go to those mountains in the distance. You can even go beyond them. And I was just like,
So, how was that not what Breath of the Wild ended up being? Even if it didn't deliver on that literal mountain in that literal screenshot, there were still mountains, and you still could go to them and go past them.
A few landmarks survived, notably
Okay.
the Twin Peaks. They were still there with the big cleave in them.
Yeah.
But many did not survive. A lot of artistic changes were made. And also, Aonuma has been quoted as saying in an interview that scene where he jumps off the horse and pulls back the bow and arrow. In the original build of the game, that wasn't a thing. They weren't planning to actually be able to do that. And clearly they reworked it and made it so like there was definitely between the time of that trailer and the 2014, 6 months later, this was June, and then now we're in early December for the Game Awards. When they showed it off there was a clear change in like their thinking as to what they actually wanted to do with this game. So if you look at the landscape of Zelda Wii U, that first screen, it just, as far as what the game was going to be, it tells a very different story. And like the things that you can pick out and look at that I was planning and charting on going to, they just didn't exist anymore. And the thing, it's like, I'm not saying Breath of the Wild bad at all. I'm just saying there's still a minor tragedy in my heart because this game that I became so attached to, poring over it for every day for 6 months, no longer existed after the Game Awards when they cut back and they showed the map and I saw they've changed it. And my heart broke. But I was still extremely hype. Let's go ahead and push ourselves up. We see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've got my Wii U. I knew that I was going to get one because I wanted to play this game already before they even announced it. That's the other thing too. I was anticipating since 2013, like just waiting for them to show it. Show me what it's going to look like, you know? Because there were all the articles saying like, and this was my first Zelda news cycle, so I didn't understand, right? So like, I didn't understand that they always say this stuff and that it's not ever like any material. Like they always start.
Well, you're sounding like Tony talking about Ura Zelda and Hard for Games.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah. No,
he
like,
said like all that about Ura Zelda. And that's why he was going through all that
that's
stuff.
exactly right. You know, it's every little thing. Like they're like, well, actually, they started development on this new game before Skyward Sword was even out, and Skyward Sword was maybe even released a year later than it needed to be. So they might have 2 full years of development on this thing. So 2013, we might see it. We didn't.
Oh my god!
But I'm just setting the stage for how difficult. Like I was on ZeldaDungeon.net or com or whatever the hell it is every day. I had a forum account there. I would like talk to. There's this like all these different people. Axel the Beast, a notable name. I would just follow every article looking for any hint of it because I was that excited. And when they finally showed it, it was just so exactly what I wanted it to be that I was just like satisfied on a level I didn't expect to be. So, cut to 2014, later that year, the Game Awards. So they showed actual gameplay, and it was clear that it was in like a very rough state, but it didn't matter. The magic was there. And you know who agrees with me is Johnny Millennium.
Yeah?
Because the morning after that event, I remember that's when I have this just in my head. I can see myself laying down on the bed, watching the Happy Console Gamer talk about this. It was a video about, first of all, Street Fighter being an exclusive, and then Zelda Wii U finally shown.
In the same video? What a dumb
I know, he
topics.
did like, that was back in the day. He'd split it up, and the first half is this, and you hear the music cue, and it's like, all right, we're talking about Zelda now. But when he just like said, he has this line here, I can probably recite it exactly from memory. He's like, he's talking about how like there's just this Nintendo magic, and he was like, and man, when I saw it, I just wanted to see what the fuck mysteries and excitement were going on down there. I wanted to explore that world so bad. That's exactly how I felt. And so I'm living the dream right now as a Nintendo fan. I'm like, I watched every reaction to everything. I was just,
Jesus.
and then a video pops up unexpectedly on my subscription feed. Subscribe to Nintendo, and this is March 3rd, 2015. And already you can tell something's wrong. Something's not right.
Well, what did they
Aonuma's
post on that day? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, you're in for it. Aonuma comes on screen. This is just 3 months after. And we're, like, I'm like, my heart's racing because we're talking about the game. And he's got some unfortunate news. And that's that their initial target, because they had clarified at the end of the year when they showed gameplay, this is coming
Yeah.
out in 2015.
Yeah, I remember this.
As they said. And so it's not going to make it this year. It's not coming out in 2015. It was just like, oh. But then he comes in after he's already like, you know, like weakened you, and he gives you the dagger. He says, it's also not even going to be shown at E3. We're skipping E3 this year. And it was just like, you're not even going to show it?
The dark era of Nintendo.
I can't
When it
tell
felt
you.
like that game was never going to come out.
Have you ever heard of HMK? It's a YouTube channel dedicated to Zelda and Kingdom Hearts
No,
mostly.
I never heard of them.
He had this video absolutely raging about this announcement that that I watched probably like 20 times.
In agreement, like, yes.
Just to commiserate. I was just like, he's just pacing around his room. He's like, not even going to show it. What? Show it the game. And I was just like, I just feel that. I feel that so hard. And the thing was, every little Nintendo Direct or announcement, I would just watch glued, just like maybe they'll show it. Dude, like, it wasn't until Twilight Princess HD in November of 2015 where we got a peek at it again. This was like, just didn't anything. It was like, it was a Nintendo Direct, and I was like, maybe they'll show it. They did. It was 16 seconds. And I'll tell you, like, I just looked, it was just like they panned out, and there was so much you could take in from that. Like, okay, things are progressing. And like, I just like, it was so painful to wait for this. You mentioned Breath of the Wild is like probably the obvious one, and it probably is, but I was one of the people who was actually going through it and really feeling it. I remember when, if you remember in 3DS Ocarina of Time, they had a few Easter eggs for Skyward Sword.
Oh yeah, or they like teased it in that game, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, this was a problem. Triforce Heroes came out, right?
Did you play it? Okay, yeah.
I played it. Here's the thing. This was like, I knew this was delusional, but there was this secret thing that I was doing. There were these hints about this kind of secret photography scavenger hunt in that game. You
thought it was going to lead to a clue about Breath of the Wild.
That I hoped so badly.
Zelda Wii U, I'm sorry.
Zelda Wii U. Yeah, because it was still Zelda Wii U at the time.
Yeah.
Well, there were a lot of debates happening at this time. Is it coming to NX though? Is it going to be an NX game? Are they going to do? Is it going to pull a Twilight Princess?
And then it did.
Yeah, it was funny too because I used to get in arguments with people like, obviously it's coming to NX. I was 100%.
Oh, you were a doomer. Wow, you were just like, it will.
No, I knew that wasn't a bad thing to me. I wasn't so attached to my Wii U. Like, I had a Wii U. I didn't care. I wanted to. If there's going to be a new system, I'll just get it on that. Was how I was.
Okay,
thinking.
all right.
I wasn't bitter about the Wii U. It just was what it was. I mean, I had a great time with it, so I wasn't so upset. But yeah, all this leading up to that amazing blowout in 2016, where
how amazing was it when they finally did show the game, though?
They knew they had something special.
Yeah.
They come over there, and it's like everyone. They're like, "Hey, we brought one game."
Yeah,
and it was just like people were
makes up for not showing it in 2015.
They were like, "Are you serious?"
I do dare say myself.
And I feel like it stole the show, man.
Yeah, like obviously that was the only game anybody cared about that whole year.
Oh man, and like everything they showed, that's the thing. So like Breath of the Wild was not that Zelda Wii U thing that they initially showed, but it was so much more in so many different ways than I expected it to be, that it like more than compensated in its own way. It was like there was crafting. You could use weapons that weren't just swords, like you had polearm weapons, and just everything about that trailer. That first announcement was just magic, pure magic for me. So that was
I'm so impressed
Nintendo
you remember the timeline, because I just remember it being a long time. That's it.
Yeah.
I remember it getting delayed for 2 years. That's about it.
Yeah, dude, I would literally every single day, multiple times a day, I would just go to Google and I would sort by like news or like most recent and see if literally any Zelda Wii U stuff had been posted on any website. I was fully obsessed, dude. It was bad. But it hasn't happened since.
Yeah, well, you learned your lesson.
Part of it was a little deeper than that. It was just for a while, that was maybe the only thing I had to look forward to. And
Oh,
so
dang.
I was, this was after I dropped out of grad school and stuff. And like it was just kind of a turbulent time in my own life. And I was just holding on to Zelda Wii U. Like, this is it. Let me just make it to Zelda Wii U.
Dang.
So that was my worst wait. And honestly, it's funny. Maybe the second worst wait is my wait for post Breath of the Wild Zelda, because Tears of the Kingdom had this whole thing where it just extended it like way further than
They
it
took
ever
too
needed
long.
to go. They took too long. They made it a full cycle, and so now we're waiting 2 cycles for a new art style. Because for me, part of the fun's always, what's it going to look like?
Yeah.
Just speculating. I'm
we can
feeling
save
Zelda-y right now.
we
Just
can
talking
save
about it.
grapes over that game for another day. I don't know if we want to get into it.
No. Yeah, that's probably what we should do. Is I should do a big video about why I don't like Tears of the Kingdom, and then
Yeah.
you should refute it.
We could debate. That's fine. Or like do 2 separate videos, like whatever.
You could make a video just trashing my video.
Well, here's the problem is I don't love the game either. So I just think
Yeah.
that your reasons for not liking it are kind of, I don't know. I don't think they hit the core on like why it didn't work.
You probably don't remember, because like for a while I did say, and I feel like the few that I brought up, you did agree, because we all know that there's that big popular video that had 1 million views, and a lot of
Yeah.
those points weren't ones that resonated with me.
Same.
personally.
Well, I didn't watch that much of the video, but I watched the first like 20 minutes, and I'm like, this doesn't seem like good fit. It seemed to me that video was like she built up her ideal Zelda sequel in her head, and then when the
Yeah.
game wasn't that, then that was it. It's bad because it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yes, like I had really no expectation for Tears of the Kingdom.
Dude,
Honestly.
if you're a Nintendo fan and you're expecting them to do fucking anything interesting with the story in any of these games,
if you're
you are setting
yeah.
yourself up for a bad time.
Unless Origami King.
I mean, unless it's like Paper Mario. Even then, like, I wouldn't say the story is what carries it. It's more like
characters.
the character. Yeah, the characters. Because the storyline is nothing, basically.
Sure, the story. I guess sometimes I tend to conflate story and writing.
Yeah.
If a game has
Yeah.
good writing, I tend to think
Exactly.
like, oh, the story was good, but
Exactly. It is good writing, but the story is stupid. Well, it's not even stupid. It's just like, it's very basic. You could sum it up in like one paragraph. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was worst Nintendo waits. Make sure
That
to
was.
tell us your worst Nintendo wait and a lengthy
Yeah.
paragraph about it in the comments. Oh no, I hit an accidental one.